Hiya, folks. It's me, Frank Dietz, and I'm back with another edition of This Monstrous Life. And this one is my end of the year favorite films list. Everybody does this. Sometimes they call it a best of, right? But this isn't necessarily best of. This is more about the movies that I personally found the most interesting, the most fun, the most bonkers, et cetera, et cetera. Right? There are lots of great movies that came out this year, but I'm going to focus on the kinds of movies that I mostly talk about here on this YouTube channel. So get ready. Uh, I'm sure that there'll be a lot of disagreement out there with some of these, but to each his own, right? All right. So I'm going to start off with I think it was the first movie of 2025 that I saw in the movie theater, and I just was so blown away by it. I loved it so much. Uh, it was called Companion, and it was basically about a uh, a robot. Although we're not supposed to know she's a robot in the first half of the movie or so. And the guy that owns her, they call him a fuckbot sometimes in the film. And they are up in a cabin for the weekend. Up in the cabin for a weekend seems to be a recurring theme in a lot of horror movies, right? Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. It's a marvelous twisted tale of murder, schemes, plots, and betrayal, and just all the kinds of twisty things going on throughout it. It stars Sophie Thatcher, who I completely adore, and this was the follow-up movie, not directly related to it, but this is the movie she did after doing Heretic, and which wasn't a movie that came out last year in 2024, but also terrific. That was the one where she played a Mormon sister who happens on the house of Hugh Grant, and very diabolical things happen there. This film is a little more lighthearted. There's definitely a lot of humor in it. The other main actor in it is Jack Quaid, who is very likable, and also starred in Novocaine, which came out around the same time. But it's funny when you have characters who are adversaries. There might be some spoilers here, so sorry. Who can still have a great chemistry. And Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid definitely have that in here. And as I said, there's a couple of nice surprises in it, and you are definitely being guided by this writer-director to where your loyalties lie. So I highly recommend Companion. So now I should also mention that these movies are not in a particular order. Okay, this isn't like my least favorite or most favorite to my least favorite. It's kind of random. All right, the next one was also out very early in the year, and this was a big one. Sinners was a movie that I just did not expect. I mean, I knew that it was a vampire story. You know what? Actually, I take that back. I didn't know that. I didn't realize it was about vampires because the trailer was tricky. It was talking about how music so pure can open up boundaries of realms and such, right? And it was very music oriented, and the music was fantastic. And anyway, it's about these two brothers, and this is in a small town down south, and I can't remember what the year was exactly, but I think it was just past Prohibition. And they want to open up a club down there. Both of the brothers are played by Michael B. Jordan. And of course, the effects work. To have them working in scenes together was superb. It couldn't get any better. And the supporting cast were all great. Delroy Lindo plays an old timer, and he's one of those actors that you see his life etched in his face. and so he's always believable. But the greatest thing about this for me, and this is the thing that I really was most impressed with, was that the script took basically all the regular vampire tropes: garlic, wooden stakes, sunlight, being having to be invited in. We've seen all these before, but what they did with this film was actually add another layer on top of that. And I don't want to say it because what it is, because if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But it is so unique to the vampire mythos that's what really struck me, and that's what made it different. And obviously, from the reviews from critics and from fans, this movie is going to at least win some kinds of awards. There is a rumor that it will be nominated for Best Picture. Will it win? Horror movies don't usually do that well in the Best Picture category. This is probably the best movie of the year as far as this genre that we're talking about here on my show. All right, next up is a Valentine's Day movie that also kind of took me by surprise because it looked on the outside like a regular stalker, horror stalker movie, and it turned out to be much more fun than that. A lot of humor, and I always love they, when filmmakers utilize humor to balance out the incredible horror of whatever the situation is. And horror comedies go all the way back to the 1940s, but um, this one was really just kind of goofy, and it was called Hard Eyes. And if you looked at it just from the trailer point of view, you'd be like, oh yeah, it's another guy in a mask chasing people with a knife, etc. But there's enough humor and great dialogue in Hard Eyes that I found myself entertained throughout it. Plus the leads are very charming. They're very likable. Devon Sawa shows up as a detective, and it's always fun to see him, show up in movies like this. But I just really, what I loved it for was the humor. It didn't take itself completely seriously. The next one I'm going to talk about is also a horror comedy, although it's much more bonkers than even Hard Eyes. The Monkey was based on a short story by Stephen King, and there's a couple of Stephen King adaptions in this list. But The Monkey is just so bonkers. It's so crazy. So this mechanical monkey, when it plays its drum, once it hits that final drum beat, boom, somebody dies in some crazy way. Tatiana Maslany, who is obviously a favorite of Osgood Perkins, because she's also in the next film that he directed. I understand that he may have shot both of them at the same time, which would make a lot of sense because they came out very close to each other. And The Monkey is just one of these movies where you're just like, oh my god, you're laughing even if the scene is completely gory. I've watched The Monkey like 3 times now, and I enjoy it more every time. Okay, so the next one is not a comedy by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, this is a very serious, a very creepy and very sad horror film. And it was called Bring Her Back, and it starred Sally Hawkins, who was in The Shape of Water for Guillermo del Toro. And it was about a woman basically obsessed with with her daughter who had died recently, and her attempts to uh, bring her back, like the title said. But some of the imagery is just so disturbing. Um, and you really care about the protagonists, which makes it even harder when they suffer as they do in this film. A really good film, but this is straight horror. This is not for the weak in heart at all. But good. I mean, if you're a serious horror movie fan, you should definitely check it out. Next, Guillermo del Toro has finally got to make his version of Frankenstein, which we've been waiting for a very long time. And I didn't see it in the movie theater. I actually did watch it on Netflix, and it's just beautiful. It's the acting by Jacob Elordi and Oscar Isaac, and Mia Goth is in it, and she's certainly been making a name for herself in the horror genre. I don't think they could ever really tell the story. They can't be completely faithful to it because it's just impossible. So Guillermo decided on the elements of the book that he really wanted to focus on, and being the filmmaker that he is, that's where he stayed. And so there are elements that we've seen in other movies that you're not going to see in this film, but beautifully done. The makeup was done by a dear old friend of mine named Mike Hill, was spectacular. And Guillermo's a great filmmaker and a very, very intelligent man with a big potty mouth. Um, it's part of his charm, actually. The visuals in Frankenstein are stunning. They're beautiful. And if you were a fan of Bernie Wrightson, you couldn't help but notice uh, there were some images that reflected Bernie's beautiful pen and ink Frankenstein drawings from many many years ago. But gorgeous stuff and a very good film. Next one is Weapons. I think this one caught a lot of people by surprise as well. Yeah, another one where you couldn't really tell what the story was going to be from the trailer. And it goes down not anything like I expected, but then again, I didn't even know what I was expecting. The story is about these bunch of children who mysteriously get up in the middle of the night and run out of their houses and disappear. So what happened to them? And that's where Julia Garner and Josh Brolin are trying to figure out like what happened to them. The surprise of what happened to them is so nuts. Halfway through the movie, introduces a character that you hadn't seen, or maybe very briefly seen earlier in the film, and played by Amy Madigan, and that is going to be the iconic character of this film. Now, this movie was made by the same guys that did Barbarian, which I also really liked. That's from several years ago. In many ways, just like Barbarian, they play around with what would be considered the standard structure, 3-act structure of the film. They like to jump around a little bit. Good, very good film. Next, The Long Walk, which I just watched again last night, based on a Stephen King book. It's about an America that has become so poor and downridden that they have this annual walk where young men volunteer to participate, and it's just about walking as far as they can um, without getting killed. Because if you mess up in any way along the way, you get shot, you get killed. And the ensemble cast for this is marvelous. All these young actors, and none of them I recognized at all. So they've all got to be either newcomers or they're just they've just finally found the part that's going to put them in the spotlight a little more. Uh, but a harrowing movie, harrowing. You really feel what these young men are feeling, the agony, the pain, the just it's overwhelming at times. And we also get the wonderful Mark Hamill, who is playing the sort of the villain of the piece as the colonel or whatever he is that runs this annual death race, basically. And And I just gotta love that Mark this is a perfect example of how Mark has no vanity about himself, because the entire movie he never takes his sunglasses off. So you never actually see his eyes during the entire movie. And a lot of actors wouldn't want that. They were like, oh, I have to use my eyes. My eyes are, are my tool, right? And I just love that Mark was just like, nah, screw that. This guy would always have his sunglasses on. And it's a lot of fun to watch him as a real baddie, because we've seen him, so many times in roles where he was, a hero of some kind, or just an interesting uh, character. He's got great range, and a hell of a nice guy, it seems. The very best Stephen King adaptations are not usually the horror ones, but the more straightforward drama uh, adaptations, which like The Green Mile and Shawshank and the Body, Stand by Me, and this one falls right into that same category. Really good film. Next, I've never been a huge fan of the Predator movies. All right, I saw the first one when it came out in the movie theater with Arnold, and not with Arnold. I wasn't with him, but I mean the movie had Arnold in it, obviously. So. Um, And so I was kind of like, all right, I'll go see it. And I was so pleasantly surprised by this movie. I called it the most adorable Predator movie ever made, mostly due to um, this Elle Fanning is just such an adorable character, and she's playing a synth, essentially a robot, and this very young predator lands on the most dangerous planet in the universe to kill a supposedly unkillable creature. And he ends up partnering up with this synth in order to survive, because she knows how to utilize the elements of the planet in their favor. But between Elle Fanning and this kind of cute, very cute little baby monster, you just can't help. You're just like, that's so cute. Oh my God. That doesn't mean there aren't, like, very harrowing sequences in it. There are. It's great action. And the effects are just perfect. They're so good. A lot of imagination. There is the fauna and flora of this planet that really showed thinking outside the box when it came to creating a world. And to me, way cooler than anything in the Avatar movies. This is me. So take that as you will. All right, the last one of the 10 that I'm going to talk about is the second Osgood Perkins movie that came out this year, which is called Keeper. And here's the thing about trailers. So the trailer for this movie gave no indication of really what the story actually was. And in a way that's good, because then you get the surprise of what the actual storyline is, or what the twist might be, etc. So Keeper does that. Keeper is surprising. It's funny. All three of the last few Osgood Perkins movies, um, they they have the same underlying tone to them, but they're three completely different movies. They don't look like each other at all. I think he's super talented, and I can't wait to see what he does next. But Keeper also stars Tatiana Maslany in a much bigger role than she had in The Monkey. And she's so good. She's such a great actress. If you've never seen the series that she starred in years ago called Orphan Black, where she played, I think, a total of 10 or 11 different characters over the course of the series, all brilliantly. She's a very talented lady. So yeah, so these were the movies that I enjoyed the most: Companion, Sinners, Hard Eyes, The Monkey, Bring Her Back, Frankenstein, Weapons, The Long Walk, Predator, Badlands, and Keeper. All right, so that's those are the favorite movies of 2025 from This Monstrous Life, and I'm sure you agree with some of them. I'm sure there are people who are going to disagree with some of them, but this is what I really liked about this year in the genre, and I feel like horror had a really good year. Almost forgot one last one, and I'm throwing it out there just because it's so outrageous and so over the top and so different, really, from the earlier versions of this franchise. But I thought that Final Destination Bloodlines was hilarious, and it's so much fun and so crazy, so bonkers. And I referred to it as I felt like I was watching Mousetrap the movie. It's just wild. Never throw a penny off of a building, by the way. I think that's the message. Anyway, so thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If this is your first time here, I hope you will subscribe. I'm going to keep doing this for as long as I can. And I appreciate every one of you who this past year, since I've been doing this, have stuck with me and watched my videos and, hopefully had fun, because that was the intention of this to begin with. So until next time, from This Monstrous Life, I'm Frank Dietz. See you soon.